Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming my June rooted video. So if you are unfamiliar with this series, basically my word for 2017 is rooted, because I moved a couple of years ago from a big bustling city to a little tiny town, and it's been a tough transition, and so I've just been documenting kind of getting more rooted here. So if you're interested, I will link that playlist up above and you can go ahead and click through and check it out. So there's like a first video that kind of talks about what the past year was like, what 2016 was like, and why I chose rooted as my word for the year this year. And then there's also, this will be the 6th video in the series. There's a video for January, February, March, April, May, and now June, talking about how each month has been. For those of you who have been following along, you know that it's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of all different kinds of feelings, different things that have been going on each month. And it's been a nice way for me to process how each month is going and how I'm starting to feel more rooted. But even more than that, it's been really awesome to get to know some of y'all who are going through something similar, and just we're able to kind of talk about it. And a lot of us have been kind of emailing and things like that about getting rooted in a new place. So thanks so much for being here and for watching. June was an interesting month. I'm feeling really chatty today, so I'm just warning you. I usually try to keep these videos around 15 minutes or so, but I have a feeling this one's going to be longer. So if you're not in the mood for a chatty video, I don't know, maybe watch something else. I don't want to waste your time if you're not interested. I have like a whole entire page of notes for June because it was really all in all a really awesome month. I would say it was a month of renewed hope. I was talking about last month how I started to kind of feel better, towards the end of May, and like things started kind of falling more into place for me and that kind of thing. And I just feel like June has just been really positive and probably the best month of this year. January was also a really great month because it was just felt like such a fresh start, and I feel like June felt that way in its own right. One thing to note is that I love summertime. It's easily my favorite season, and so the fact that June marks the start of summer has also probably added to my happiness or joy factor, just because I'm so happy when the weather's warm and when I can be wearing short sleeves and flip-flops, and the evenings are warm enough that you can be outside without, bundling up, and I just love it so much. So that's probably part of it, but overall, even outside of the weather, it's definitely been like a month of just feeling really renewed and having my hope really renewed. And I feel like I've come to a place where I've realized some different things about myself, about living here, about this experience in general, and I've realized that I've been able to kind of think about those things without heavy emotions, because in the past months, and especially last year, every thought I had about moving was riddled with just heavy grief and emotion and tears and all of this, and that's really leveled out a lot, so that's been exciting. So I'm just going to jump into kind of what this month has been like for me, and just kind of share. And as always, I would love to hear what's going on with you. The reason why I'm sharing is just because I want to let other people in on this journey if you're going through something similar, so that you're not alone, you're not crazy. It's a wild ride, to say the least. So this month, I make monthly goal lists, and this month one of them was to go on 2 friend dates. To like plan them and go on 2 friend dates, just meaning to spend some time with people who I've met and that kind of thing. And I actually went on, I think 7, which is incredible for me. Like old Blair of years past would be like, okay, like whatever. But you don't understand, like in a couple of weeks it will have marked 2 years that I've been living here, and I don't think in the past 2 years I've gone, probably not, on like 7 friend dates, like 7, hang out with friends 7 times. Like it has been a lonely and isolating road that I have walked through and walked down. And this month alone, I've been able to hang out with 7 different people, and it's just been so nice. I'm like, have such a renewed spirit spending time with people. I've talked about this a lot in months past of just like how critical friendship is to me and community, and like being able to hang out with some women. And like I went and got pedicures with one woman who's become a really good new friend, and I went to the pool with another one, and went to lunch and went shopping, and just those normal things that you do with your girlfriends that I haven't done in 2 years. And it's just been such a blessing. I cannot, like, my heart just overflows with joy that I've been able to do that, and that I'm starting to feel more like I have people to call. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit later and how that's kind of affected me, but it's been so hard not having that. And so just this month being able to go and do different things and go out to lunch and go out to breakfast and grab coffee and do those normal just things that you do with your girlfriends, I just can't even tell you. It's been so nice, so nice. And it's just been really fun to see that, like, God does have friends for me here. After all, there were definitely some months where I thought I was just meant to live in complete isolation here, even though I know that's not what the Lord would have for me. I just felt like that because I'm looking around thinking, like, who the heck am I going to hang out with? There's just like no one. So it was really nice. It's just been on that front, it's been a really good month. On the volunteering front, unfortunately, it's been 6 full months of endless emails, stopping by and whatnot, and I just have to put it aside and just unfortunately be done with pursuing volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club. I feel like there have been a lot of empty promises and empty commitments on their end, and I don't want to speak any more negativity toward that. Just unfortunately, this situation has been really, I feel, poorly handled, and so there's nothing, basically the reality is that there's nothing else I can do. I've done everything that I can do, and that's all I can do. So I'm starting to kind of look into some other opportunities, but one thing that's kind of surfaced as that has most definitely faded is that, so at our church, which I've talked about before, it's quite small, maybe 20 or 30 people max on a Sunday. It's very small. And so most of the families there, if not all, have children. And so there is like a little kids room off to the side of the, I mean, it is a sanctuary, but it doesn't look like one. It's like we're like in a dilapidated old building and it's getting rebuilt. And anyway, in the kids room, we have been trying to work on kind of making a little bit more structure, because as more families have joined the church, there's more children, there's more need for structure, that kind of thing. And if you didn't know, when I lived in Austin a couple years ago, I was the preschool director at a huge church. And so I have some experience in that area, and my pastor's wife, Jenny, asked if I would help out with kind of getting that going. So I had a meeting with she and her husband, who's our pastor, Casey, and the 3 of us sat down and really talked through how we're going to run the kids room. And this Sunday, I'm helping run a meeting about the kids room with all the volunteers, which is almost everyone at church. We all take turns. And so it's good. It's just really exciting to kind of see how this church is a really good fit for us on so many levels, but in this area, I'm really able to use my gifts and talents in a way that benefits our congregation at large. And so that's just really cool. So I've been really excited about that, and have been kind of getting that all together and pulling it all together for Sunday, because we're going to have our first meeting, and then we're going to start kind of implementing a more structured routine to the kids' room, which is really awesome. So that's what's going on at church. So that's kind of what this month has been like. It's just really been a lot of time hanging out with new friends and building relationships, and lots of driving to meet with some of my friends that I have made who are further away. So most of the friends who are further away are wives of Riley's college friends. So, you know, Riley's college friends are guys, and then they got married, and so their wives have gone, I mean, above and beyond. Like, they have gone out of their way to make me feel welcome. And it's so kind. It's just like, I can't believe these people who do not know me, and they just know Riley through their husbands, and have like gone so out of their way to drive, you know, an hour and meet me halfway for different, like for lunch or whatever. And It's just so nice. People are so kind. It's really been great. So that's kind of mostly what my month has been like, is just being able to see people and hang out with people and that kind of thing, which has been awesome. And then also getting more involved at church in the kids' room, which has been really fun too. So those are all the great things. So on a more macro level, so to speak, kind of thinking about what it's been like this month as far as kind of processing the past 2 years. So this is crazy. I have been living in Texas as of the 4th of July for 4 years. I moved to Texas on the 4th of July in 2013, and now we're only a couple of days out from the 4th of July in 2017. This blows my mind. I cannot believe it's been 4 years since I moved to Texas. I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. It's been such a crazy journey, but it feels like I can remember what I was wearing, how I was feeling on the day that I moved here almost 4 years ago now. And so what's really interesting is that I moved in July of 2013 to Austin, and then in July of 2015, so 2 years later almost, it was about 2 years and a couple of weeks, so like almost exactly 2 years later, I moved up here right before we got married, and then now it's been 2 years. So essentially I've been 4 years in Texas, and 2 of those years were in Austin, and now 2 of those years have been here. That comes with, like, thinking about that and really reflecting on that brings up a lot when I really think about it, because when I was leaving Austin after I had been there for 2 years, I mean, I was rooted in that city in a way I had no idea anyone could be rooted in just a couple of years. I had so many wonderful friendships. I loved my coworkers. I had best friends, like amazing best friends that we had like a little get together every Thursday, like every single week. I had that kind of like close-knit friendship. I knew the whole city. I knew all my favorite little places. Like, I just felt so rooted. And the fact that that was only 2 years in, and I'm 2 years in here, and I don't even feel probably 25% the way that I did when I left Austin, and it's been the same amount of time, is so crazy. Because I often think to myself, or I have thought to myself, like in the past year, like, well, you know, I haven't been here for as long as I was in Austin. It's no wonder I don't feel the way I felt about that city and all that. But now I have. I mean, now I have been here the same amount of time as I ever was there. And it just goes to show you, like, different parts of life and different kind of chapters of life are different. I mean, that is not the most eloquent thing I've ever said in my life. But you know what I mean? Like, not every chapter of life is the same. And so just because when I was in Austin, I had all of this amazing community, and I felt so at home, and I felt so, you know, rooted and just solidified in society and in the world and in my community and friendships there, that doesn't mean that the same experience was going to happen here. And in fact, it hasn't. And so that's a hard, but I think good reality to kind of grasp. It's also been interesting because one of my friends said to me when I was moving up here, because she has moved a whole lot in her life, and she said, it takes 2 years to feel settled somewhere. It takes 2 years. And I remember like nodding my head and smiling and thinking, yeah, right. I am not gonna feel just like I'm floating in the wind for 2 years before I feel settled. She was right. I could not believe it. Like, it's been 2 years, and I'm just now starting to feel like I have my feet on the ground in terms of feeling like I know this city and I know people in it, and like I have some friends, and that's like just happening this month, like almost at the 2 year mark. So I don't know if there's any like amazing moral of that story other than just patience is a virtue. Like, you know, you just sometimes have to be patient, and waiting is an action word, you know, just waiting and praying and just taking small steps forward and hoping for things to fall into place is sometimes all you can do. You can't kind of force things along any faster than that. And that's been a really hard lesson, but probably a good one for me to learn. So it's not like everything's, you know, sunshine and rainbows now, and suddenly I have all these amazing friends and everything feels awesome and perfect. But I feel like finally, after 2 years, I'm finally starting to meet some friends. I'm finally starting to have somewhat of a social life and some things on the calendar. And finally, it's been 2 years without that. I mean, y'all, there were months at a time where I did nothing with, I had no one to do anything with. Like, I never even knew that I don't know how to say this without sounding some kind of way, but like, I never moved. Like, I was born into the house I was born into, and I lived there through high school, and then I went to college. And so even through hard seasons when I was growing up, I always had friends, and I had a lot of family nearby, and I never felt like I was without a community. Then I went off to college, and I had an amazing community there as well. And then I went to Austin, and within a few months, I had, you know, amazing close friends and a great community there. So I never even thought that there would be even a month of my life, let alone 2 years of my life, where I would literally not have friends, where I would literally not have anyone to call, anybody to do anything with. And this experience, although it's starting to get better, it has taken me to the absolute end of myself. And I know that sounds dramatic, but if you've ever been in a similar situation where you've gone from feeling really supported and surrounded to feeling completely isolated and alone, I think you can probably understand where I'm coming from, of just, it brings you to the, like, I can't tell you how many hours and how many times I've sat on our shower floor and just wept over the past 2 years. I could cry about it now. This experience has been, I don't even have words, clearly. It has been so deeply, deeply challenging, deeply challenging. You know, the first 2 years of marriage, there are some hard things. Moving to a new city that's in the legit middle of nowhere, that's tiny and has nothing that I'm used to having. And not having anyone to call that's close by, not having anyone to sit across the table from and chat. Like, it makes me cry. I have been brought to the absolute, like, end of myself. I don't want to cry, but it's hard not to. Like, I have experienced a loneliness that I wouldn't wish on anyone. Gosh, I was not planning on crying. Let me get some tissues. Okay, I got some tissues. Wow, I really didn't think I was going to cry, but I don't know why I didn't think I was going to cry, because this is, it's just hard to talk about. The only thing I can say really is that through the past 2 years of truly feeling so isolated and so alone and so I don't even know, just so profoundly lonely. I have seen God's faithfulness in a way that I have never seen before in my life. I'm so amazed at how present I have felt God with me through something that has just sucked. This journey has been personally challenging, clearly, but this journey has put strain and stress on my marriage in a way that I would never want to put stress and strain on my marriage just a couple years in, or a couple months in, honestly. This has been going on since we got married. Where I have a husband who loves me so deeply and can't take away the pain. And I've watched that break his heart. And that's made him feel guilty and just awful. And that guilt has made me feel guilty, like I should be bringing that kind of stress into our marriage. But then Riley's been all I've had. So it's been such a hard, delicate dance. I'm trying not to burden our relationship with this overwhelming sense of grief while also needing to process it with Riley, because I haven't had anyone else in person. You know, I've cried on the phone to every friend. They've all, whenever I'm not crying on the phone, I think my friends are shocked because I have just wept over this. I'm weeping over this on YouTube right now. I have just wept over this. It has been absolutely the most difficult, challenging, heavy situation I have ever been through. And here's what's really interesting about it. I have known friends or come across different people who have talked about feeling really lonely and how they've just felt so kind of drowned in loneliness. And I have unfortunately felt like maybe they weren't doing enough to kind of get themselves out of that. And I have in the past felt like, why don't you just try to do these different things? I will never feel like that again. I now know that there are sometimes portions of life where you can be trying everything to feel like you're not alone and still feel completely alone and still feel like there's just no one to call. Because I have tried everything. I've tried a lot of different things. Explored a lot of different paths, things that I haven't even talked about on here. Things that were before I started this series and things that I just didn't even want to share. But sometimes it's just kind of where you are, and there is sometimes just profound loneliness, and there's not a whole lot that can be done about it, and it's just waiting and praying and hoping that will change while continuously, taking small steps forward. I mean, I've continued to go to these different groups and meetups and things and just trying to find my place and trying to find my people, and it has taken a really long time, and it's just now, 2 full years later, starting to come together. And so it's been a journey, to say the least. It's been a journey. I am really thankful. I wouldn't want to do this again. Some people are like, oh, I would do it all over again. No, I would not do it all over again. I would love to never ever go through something like this again. It has been harder than a lot of other things, and there have been some really hard seasons of my life, and this has been so difficult because feeling alone is one of the worst feelings ever. It's just been so hard. So all that to say, whew, that was a lot. I'm so sorry. I really honestly was like not feeling like I was going to cry. But it's just so much. It's so much. That's all I can say. But there are a few things that I feel like I have, that I've kind of learned, like little morals of the story or something. Like, and again, it's not like I'm saying the end, like everything's fine and good, like I'm all good here, I feel so great here. Like, no, it's really that my journey of feeling rooted is honestly just kind of starting to feel like it's just beginning. Like I'm just starting to feel like I'm meeting some people and just starting to feel like I'm getting involved in the community and that kind of thing. And like, I don't feel like it's done at all, but it just feels like I've been pushing against a brick wall for 2 years and it's finally starting to crumble, and I'm finally starting to see some real progress, especially in the friendship arena, which has easily been the most difficult and challenging part about this. So kind of one main thing is that I've kind of learned is that some people just can't understand, or they won't understand. Just like past Blair could never have understood the way that this feels or this has felt. There are a lot of well-meaning people who are unable to understand where I'm coming from and what this feels like. It's not that they don't want to, or it's not that they don't want to be supportive, but they kind of can't. They just don't get it. They don't understand. And the best time of my life that I can compare this to is that when I was in college, I had the opportunity to study abroad in Spain for a semester. And I didn't know anyone else from my school who was in my program. So when I went over to Spain, I was going over there literally knowing no one. And I obviously spoke some Spanish, but I had never lived in a Spanish-speaking country ever. And it was a really, let's say that was a journey too. It was definitely a journey. And I lived with a host family. It was full immersion. I was going to a Spanish university. All the classes were in Spanish, and I was doing really well academically and that kind of thing. But it was a life transforming experience, because that was another instance where I felt like I was just taken to the end of myself. There was so much that was out of my control. There were so many things that were so different, and culturally and language barriers and everything. And it was so hard, and I pushed through it, and I made some friends, and I, did well in school, and I traveled some, and it was just such it wasn't just an amazing experience. It was an amazing, challenging, refining experience. And I was such a different person when I got off the airplane in America than when I had boarded the airplane to go abroad. And because I had gone and not known anyone else, it was so challenging upon return and like re-entry, because I had no one to kind of understand what it had been like and how different my perspective was. And like there was just no one who could get that. I didn't have anyone to talk to about that. And that was so hard for me. And I know that I've talked to some other friends who had they went a different semester and they didn't know anyone, and they've said the same thing. Like re-entry was the hardest part. Like for me, I feel like it was harder coming back to the US and not knowing how to process what had just happened. Was really challenging. And I feel that way about this past couple of years. Like it's the experience in and of itself has been really hard, but then not knowing anyone who is also kind of walking through it in the same way. Like this is Riley's hometown. He doesn't feel this way at all. Everywhere he goes, he sees people he knows literally everywhere he goes. It's a small town, and everyone knows him. Everyone knows his family. So he doesn't feel like this at all. And, that has been really hard. And I think just being really gracious toward people who are well-meaning has been something that I've had to learn. I would get so angry with people at the beginning when they would be like, oh, I understand. Once I went on a trip with my friend's family and I felt uncomfortable for a week. And I'm like, listen, sister, I have no empathy for you. But now I feel like I've gotten to a point where I have a lot more grace, and I have a lot more, these people are just trying to connect. They're trying to be as understanding as they can without having walked through something where they haven't had a single friend for 2 years. I don't want other people to have to go through that. And so the fact that they're even trying to kind of understand, I give them a lot of credit for that, and a lot of grace. There's a lot of graciousness in that, instead of how I felt at the beginning where I would become really angry. Like, you don't understand. And now I'm like, I don't feel that these people understand, but if they're trying to build a bridge and make a connection, I'm really thankful for that. So that's one thing. Along the same lines, of kind of some people just can't and won't understand. I've had some hard conversations with people who were born and raised here where I'll say something about how it's really challenging, or about this or whatever, and there will be heavy dose of defensiveness, which is frankly really annoying, because I'm not insulting them, their experience, even the city. I'm just saying, as I've walked through this, it's been hard. So that's, in a lot of parts of the past couple of years, that's made it even really harder, because I feel like I can't be open about how I'm feeling, even in circles at church or whatever, where I feel like I should be able to be really open. I don't necessarily feel like I can be, because I'm the only outsider. And so it's been layers. This is like an onion. It's just layers of just like weird difficulty and grief and whatever. And like just feeling the isolation has a lot of layers where it's like, I feel like I can't really say like, this is what's been hard, because people will just be like, oh, well, that's just how it is. Or like, you just haven't met so-and-so, or you just need to da-da-da. And it's like, you just really don't get it. The depth of loneliness is more profound than I think a lot of people realize. Similarly, I think that I've learned a lot about advice giving. I am the oldest of 3 kids. I used to joke when I was younger that I wanted to be a life coach when I grew up. I love giving advice to people. I love looking at someone's, reality through kind of a third-party perspective and trying to help them navigate through. And I love it. I just love it. I love giving advice. But I have learned over the past couple of years that there is a time to give advice, and there are many times not to give advice. There are a lot of times not to give advice because it is legitimately like a huge slap in the face when I am pouring out my heart and saying how difficult it's been and how lonely I felt. And I mean, you just saw, like, that is the most raw feeling. And then to have someone say, well, you should just do X and then you'll be better. It's like I want to punch them so hard. Like, it is such a ridiculous response to such a profound, deep, hard feeling. Don't act like there's one little easy little answer. You just do this one thing. Like, and I think that that's taught me a lot about giving advice to other people. And I've gotten to the point where unless I feel like someone's really asking or really prodding for my opinion, I've just started to be more empathetic. So like, for example, what I have loved is if I say, I am really having a hard time with this. When I'm talking to someone who just says, I'm so sorry, that must be so hard. Like, how does that make you feel in this light? How is that affecting your marriage? Are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Like, how is that? Like, when people kind of push into that and really explore how that's really affecting me and validate how I'm feeling, it is like the best thing in the entire world. And I have learned so much about that and tried to be that way when I've had friends who have gone through hard things and they've said, this is what's going on, instead of being like, well, why don't you just try this? Or what if you did this? Or how about you do this? I've really stopped doing that. And instead I've been like, I'm so sorry. Tell me more about that. How's that making you feel? How's that affecting your relationships? How's that affecting your moods? Do you feel like you need to go talk to somebody? Like, those are the kind of questions and the kind of comments that feel compassionate and empathetic rather than Band-Aid, like, I don't know how to deal with you, so I just want to tell you one quick thing to do and you're going to be feeling fine. And I don't think anything but an experience like this could put me in that. And I'm thankful for that because I love to give advice, but there is a time and a place. And there are a lot of times in a lot of places where it's really not okay, or it's at least not helpful, I feel like, to give advice because I've experienced that firsthand where I'm like, I really don't want to hear your advice, like, at all. Another thing that I have never talked about on any platform, but definitely not in this series, is that when Riley and I first got married in July of 2015, we had planned on trying for a baby within probably the first year. And above anything else in life that I've ever wanted to do, I have wanted to be a mom more than anything. I love kids. I just like love kids. And I have spent like almost every single job that I've ever had has been working with kids, working for kids. I nannied every single summer of my childhood. I founded and ran a summer camp in my neighborhood from ages like 8 to 15 for like all these summers. I had like all these kids come and I like ran a camp. Like, I just love kids and I've always wanted above all else to be a mom. It's all I've literally ever wanted in life. It's like my heart's deepest desire. And so we had planned, both of us were ready, we felt ready probably about within a year of getting married. Because of this experience and how low I felt for so many months and how taken to the absolute end of my rope I have felt, and we made a decision as a couple that it was not going to be a possibility to start trying to get pregnant, because I was really concerned about being pregnant and going through all of those changes and questions and anxieties and celebrations without having anybody to walk with that through, like having no friends here. And then I know, because several of my friends have had babies, how isolating it can already be when you have a newborn and you're home a lot and you're nursing all the time and all that. And it really has terrified me to think about how I felt the lowest I've ever felt in life, and then throwing the responsibility of a baby on that and the hormones of a baby on that, and the lack of a village in any sense of the word. And postponing that has been, God has given me a lot of peace about that, because I know that it's the right thing, because I truly am, it scares me to think about if I had gotten pregnant and had a baby during these times of feeling desperately alone. I just feel like that would not have been a wise choice at all. But there's also a lot of grief that comes with that, because we had always planned on getting married and getting pregnant pretty quickly and starting, to grow our family and whatever. And obviously that was our decision. Like, we could have started trying to get pregnant, but because of these circumstances, because I have had like no friends, I really did not want to. It really freaked me out to think about just being already feeling alone and then being like another level alone, because I also have a child that I'm taking care of, and it just felt like it wasn't a good idea. And there might be some people who disagree with me, and that's okay, but between my husband and I, because we're the ones making the decision, as we prayed about it and talked about it, we just knew it was just not the right time. And so that's been another really hard, weird result of kind of the loneliness and the difficulty, is just feeling like that season of life had to really be put on pause for a while. But there's a lot of peace in my heart about that, and I know that it's the right thing. It was the right choice, and so we don't know exactly. Basically, it just scares me to think about going through that experience of trying to get pregnant, getting pregnant, giving birth, postpartum, raising a baby, on and on, without having a support network here, like people to come and sit with me when I'm at home in those early days or those kinds of things. Like, it really scared me not to have that. And so we just want to get to a place where I feel like I have that more. Because throughout history, women have never given birth like alone and like raised babies alone. It's always been like a community thing. That's why that phrase, it takes a village to raise a child, that's why that exists. And I just want a little bit more of a village before we're ready to step into that. But that's something that I didn't know if I was ever going to share. But I feel like it's worth sharing, because I think it shows how far reaching sometimes the effects of feeling really isolated can actually be. Much further than just not having someone to go to lunch with. It can really affect, and has deeply affected, our marriage. It's affected our plans as a family. And I know God is so good in all of that, and his faithfulness has just abounded, and it's been amazing to see. And I trust and know that when the time is right, that I will know, and I'll have a peace in my heart. Right now I have a very significant peace in my heart about not being pregnant and not walking down that road quite yet, although I really eagerly anticipated. I do want to wait until I feel more secure and like I'm in a better place, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I think if someone else has kind of been through this, I think you might understand that. So those are kind of the things I've learned. The other really things that I kind of feel like I've learned is that I'm never really going to have a small town perspective, and that's okay. Like, I wasn't born and raised here. I didn't grow up here. I didn't grow up in a small town. I grew up in Baltimore. Like, I grew up in the greater Baltimore area in like a really big city, and that's my perspective, and that's what I'm used to, and that's okay. And I don't have to see things the way people here see things. I just don't, because I really can't. Just like I was just talking about, you can't put yourself in someone else's shoes, except for through just empathy and compassion and just trying to be there for someone. You can't have walked someone else's path. So it's okay that I don't like totally get the culture here all the time and I don't totally get things. I've come to a peace about that that's been really amazing in the past month or so. And I've also come to a peace of like, I don't have to love the city that I'm in. I don't have to love this zip code to feel content, because I do not love this zip code. I would never choose to live here. I would never have picked this city for myself, and I would, if I could, be getting the heck out of Dodge tomorrow. It is not what's going on right now in our life, and this is where we are right now, and I found a lot of contentment and peace in knowing that I can still have a fulfilling life and God can still be working in me and through me. I can still have meaningful relationships and all of these things, even if I live in a dilapidated small town that has very little going for it. It's okay. You know, the people here are amazing and really kind, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm just getting used to driving to go do, you know, to go find things that I want to do. And I think that that's a huge step, that I'm feeling okay about living here, even if I don't like it. Okay, I've got to wrap this video up because it's like, who even knows how long it is. So anyway, as you can see, June has been a really good month for me. I've had some really high days. There's been some difficult times, but I haven't, in the whole 30 days of June, I haven't had, until now, until this video, I haven't had a breakdown. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but like literally y'all, past 2 years, it's just been tears all the dang time. Just crying all the time. All the time. Like I would see things, whatever, just all the time, just crying literally all the time. So having a whole month where like I haven't cried about living here calls for celebration, like a big cause for celebration. So I'm really excited about that. It's definitely been a really good month, and the warm weather has put me in even better spirits. So that's been great. Looking forward to July. I'm so excited for July. So in early July, I'm flying out to Maryland because I'm hosting my little sister's bridal shower. She's getting married this August. And I'm doing like a really cool, I mean, I think it's really cool, like kind of like a vintage garden theme. So lots of like cool floral prints, and it's just real. I think it's gonna be really cool. And I just went shopping yesterday at Hobby Lobby and got like a whole bunch of cute stuff. And it's just, I'm really excited. I love doing stuff like that. And the fact that I'm gonna get to fly out there and do that while also seeing my friends and my family. And actually my best friend from college, who was my maid of honor in my wedding, had a baby this January, and I haven't met her baby, and she lives in California, and she is flying to, she happens to be in Maryland for the next few weeks because that's where her family's from. And so I'm gonna get to see her for the first time in, I mean, probably at least 1.5 years or almost 2 years now. About 1.5 years. And I'm gonna get to meet her baby, and I'm so excited about that. I'm gonna get to see some of my childhood friends, some of my high school friends. I'm gonna get to see my family. Like, I'm just excited. My grandparents moved out of their home into a retirement home, which is like a really big change for them, and it's bittersweet because it's really sad that they're out of the home that I'm used to visiting them in, but I'm also really excited to see their new condo, and they're so excited about it, and they're like painting it and getting it all set up. And so, you know, family time is so good for the heart and soul. So I'm really excited to go do that and host my sister's bridal shower. Also in July, Riley and I celebrate 2 years of marriage. We also, that's like I said, it's also 2 years living here and 4 years in Texas. But July 31st is our 2-year wedding anniversary, and we are thrilled. It has been a wild ride, but I can truly say without hesitation that I am so much more in love with him than I ever could have imagined I could have been on our wedding day. Going through this kind of crap that we've gone through for the past 2 years has like fused our souls as a couple, as cheesy as that sounds. Like, I just feel like we understand each other on a level that we could have never, ever understood each other had things just been like hunky-dory. I just love that man. I love him so much. He's been so good to me in the past couple of years, and it has not been easy all the time. So we're going to Seattle to celebrate our 2-year anniversary, and we don't have a whole bunch planned. We're going to drink a lot of coffee, eat good food, walk along the beach, go hiking, whatever. We're going to just enjoy each other's company out in the weather. It's gonna be so beautiful and cool up there compared to here, and so I'm really looking forward to that. So those are all the things coming up in July. I think that's everything. Yeah. And then in August, I'll be back in Maryland for my sister's wedding. So this summer is awesome. I just love it. So anyway, thanks for bearing with me through the tears and all this chatter. I told you it was gonna be long. I just knew it was gonna be. But I am so thankful for y'all, for those of you who have been emailing me and who have followed me on social media, and we've chatted about this, and those of you who have shared your story or commented or whatever. Like, I know it seems like nothing and you're just talking to someone who, you know, doesn't know you or whatever, but like, your words have sustained me on some days where I have felt so alone and felt like my experience is so unique, and hearing from other women who have walked through something similar is like, it's like a breath of fresh air. So thank you for those of you who have been so supportive. Hope you've had a great June. I would love to hear how you're making progress on your word for 2017 or your New Year's resolution or whatever it is. You're welcome to share in the comments below or shoot me an email, whatever. But I hope y'all had an awesome June and you have an awesome July. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next month. Bye, guys.